There's a qualified importer program FDA has, must create within 18 months. It's a voluntary program. It's designed to expedite importation of safe, wholesome, and compliant foods. The good news is FDA has to work with Customs on this. Customs already knows how to do this. It has done it, actually. The jury remains out as to how effective it is, but Customs has done this before. In this case, importers have to apply to participate in the program. Eligibility is determined by two bases. One is the overall safety of the food. This is sort of an inherent safety evaluation or risk. And then the second is the foreign facility. Has the foreign facility been obtained a certification by a third-party auditor verifying that the facility is in compliance with relevant guidelines? So this is throwing a certification requirement, albeit a private one, arguably, onto a voluntary program. So the qualified importer would, among other things, the applicant would have to show that the foreign facility has obtained a certificate with respect to compliance with FDA requirements. There's a number of things FDA must consider in identifying or in reviewing an application that has to do with safety risks of the food, compliance history of the foreign supplier, the kinds of things you would expect. Regulatory regime of the foreign country, actually the country of export, not the country of origin. Interestingly enough, I think they got that wrong. But the regulatory regime for safety of the country that from which the food was exported. So there's some things here that have to be built into FDA's thinking process that Congress is requiring, and we'll see how well FDA handles that. But they've got 18 months to put it together. No reg is required. They can do it by guidance. One thing that's interesting here. If the food's adulterated when it comes in, let's see here. It's a very comprehensive list of things that FDA has to think of. It reminds me when I read through it of that food can be adulterated for a number of different reasons, other than sort of the HACCP requirements or the HARP-C requirements. There's a bunch of different ways that a food can be in violation of the law, and FDA would consider, I think, all of those. They would not just be not complying with FSMA. There would be other requirements that are sort of kind of the old standard requirements, but they can reach even to failing to comply, for instance, with the trucking company fails to comply with the sanitary transportation regs. Well, that can adulterate the food, which would have an effect on whether or not an importer could participate. So I think that it's going to put the importer, I think, in a lot of sort of weird positions in dealing with their own participants in the market. The qualified importer program has people for eligibility. It has to be continued once every 3 years. FDA has to establish this program within a certain time frame. It's a fee-for-service-based program, so applicants have to pay a fee. Interestingly, the term importer is defined much broadly here than the foreign supplier verification program. My feeling is that larger companies will benefit from this more than smaller companies because it will matter for a larger company who's bringing 100 or 150 containers a year to have have a 1 or 2 containers hit. That's much different than, say, a company that brings in 5 containers a year and they have 1 container hit. I mean, the percentage is much more onerous on the smaller importer, and this sort of is I think it's favoring the larger importers who probably have a better chance of getting systems in place and have more bargaining power with their trading partners. So we'll see. I think another issue is that FDA has to work with Customs here, who performs most of USDA's agricultural import inspections. So that could help ultimately, but USDA will have something to say about the idea of expedited release of imported food under their jurisdiction. So there's interesting pieces of this as to what would matter.